With an introduction like that, I better live up to that expectations. I hope all my family members are here to listen to that. Talking of family, last evening while I was hanging out with you and getting to know you, I saw all of you have so much fun. So this is one big HR family. How many of you were here past midnight? There we go. So please join me in giving them a big hand. Thank you very much. A real honor being here. A pleasure to speak to all of you this morning. You saw the AV talk about Greif operating in across the globe with over 270 manufacturing facilities. The only continent we do not operate is Australia. Everywhere else we have a presence. Between North America, Latin America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia, to name a few. Those 270 facilities they spoke about in the video does not include India. In India, we have a very, very, very unique organization called Balmer Lowry Van Leer, which is a joint venture with Balmer Lowry. And this joint venture has been in existence for over 60 years. You all know about India-US joint ventures of various companies. You all would have heard about Hewlett-Packard having a JV with HCL. Does not exist anymore. You know about Xerox Corporation having a joint venture with Modi called the Modi Xerox. Does not exist anymore. The reason why this joint venture is continuing and we continue to serve our customers is because of the exceptional relationship we have with Balmer Lowry. It is a relationship which has been built on mutual respect, trust, and led by a fearless leader, Mr. Adhika. Thank you so much, Mr. Adhika, for having it. And this fearless leader has a tireless team working right behind him. And that's the reason why this is such a huge success. So a very, very, very heartfelt thank you to all the organizing committee members for making it happen. Please join me in giving a big hand. So here we are on a Sunday having a deep conversation about the future of human resources. A month back, similar Sunday, there was a big celebration happening across the world. It was called the Mother's Day. How many of you today wished your father for your Father's Day? For all the fathers out there, please join me in giving you a big hand. Happy Father's Day, everyone. You can be a director, you could be a manager, you could be a CEO, you could be a C-suite, whatever it is. Those things are temporary. The only thing that is permanent for us in our own life is being a father. And I'm a proud father of 2 boys, and that designation is what I will always hold permanently for all my life. And what a blessing it is to be a dad. And today I have a double blessing because my dad is here. My dad is here, and it was he who taught me resilience. It was he who taught me grit. It was he who taught me leadership. It was he who taught me what it takes to have a goal, what it means to have values, what it means to have beliefs, what it means to have a drive so that you could go and achieve and accomplish whatever you want to accomplish in any part of the world. So please join me in thanking my dad. Happy Father's Day, Nana. Let's get on with the topic. The topic today is all about the future of human resources in the era of AI. Before we get into the future, talking about artificial intelligence, I would like you to take 30 seconds and close your eyes and reflect on the past. Your past. Your past that involved human intelligence. Without human intelligence, none of us would have gotten to where we got to in our respective careers. So please take 30 seconds, close your eyes, and reflect back on the first day. The first day you joined your organization. What was the state of the organization? What was the state of work? And in your mind, what did you think work was? We're going to take 30 seconds. Kindly close your eyes, and I'll come right back to you. Thank you so much. You're all a great sport. I saw so many of you close your eyes and some of you trying to open one eye to see if someone else is closing their eyes so that they can also follow suit. Leadership team, as we know it, has always evolved. From the day we started our jobs to what it is today. A quick glance at this room tells me that all of you have at least 2 to 3 decades of experience leading human resources. Our profession, the profession of human resources, has evolved over a period of time. Reflect back on the time when we started your respective careers. When you started your respective careers, it was all about the country opening up. India was just opening up. It was a situation where as the economy was opening up, each one of you had to start thinking differently about your jobs, not just about managing your company, but how your organization expanded globally. Global footprint. Think global. How do I deliver a workforce across the globe? That's when things fundamentally changed. Prior to that, work was something which you came in at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., depending upon which business you're in, and you went home at 5 o'clock. That's it. Everything changed in the 90s. Everything changed when you started work, where you had to work through different time zones. Work is something that did not stop at 5 o'clock. Work was something which caught up with you. So we all stepped up. We evolved as leaders to manage through that challenge. And as we were evolving through manage through the challenge, we realized that just being a global leader alone is not going to be sufficient. We need to build our organizations. We had to build our organizations and scale our organizations to capture the various complexities which was happening. So the need we had to build at that point in time was not just global leadership, but also enterprise leadership, where you had to redefine your organization's business model. Your organization's business model was all about creating value and capturing value. And as HR professionals, we had to deliver on the business model by working on an operating model which made the business model come alive. That was all about designing an organization for the global enterprise. That was all about coming up with an organization structure for the global enterprise, coming up with the right capabilities, right knowledge, right skills, and right abilities so that you could build the right enterprise to deliver on your organization's global vision. So far with me? Thank you. Now let's come to present. What is happening in today's world? Today, the whole world is going through a rapid amount of change. The first and the foremost, social and political turbulence. The world has 8 billion people. 4 billion of that 8 billion population is going to a polling booth this year, and they had to vote. We just saw the elections in Russia get over. Just a couple of weeks back, we had the elections in India. And if you thought that was chaotic, wait till you manage a corporation in the United States between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. You got 2 polarizing workforces. That's going to happen in November. You don't have to wait till November. July 4th, there's an election happening in UK where Rishi Sunak has asked for a snap election. And not to be left behind, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, went ahead and he announced a snap election too. So today, it's all about changing dynamic social landscape. It is also about leaders. It's also about leaders thinking about work-life balance differently. When you think about work and life, you think of 2 things as 2 separate things. You know, work is something you did separate, and life is something you lived when you were not working. Here we are on a Sunday morning, attending a conference. Are we working or are we living? That's the world we are living in today. It's a work-life fusion for leaders. If this is what leaders are feeling, let's talk about our workforce. The workforce does not want to come into work. They're like, okay, the first question they ask any HR professional is, tell me about your work from home policy. How many of you have had that experience? Thank you for sharing, right? So you've got leaders completely stretched. The geopolitical situation going through the complexities which will have an impact on supply chain. And if you are an organization who's depending on a global supply chain, you're going to be impacted by everything. Leaders are stretched, supply chains are stretched, your employees are stretched. And just to add a bit of nuance to that challenge, comes out of the blue in November 2022, a version of AI, which we always knew was there, called ChatGPT 3.5. And boy, did that change the world. That was a rapid impact. That rapid tech impact took the whole business world by storm. Now, when I say rapid tech impact, what do I mean by rapid tech impact? How many of you use Twitter? So let's talk about adoption of Twitter, right? How rapid did Twitter take off? For Twitter to get to 1 million users, which is roughly 10 lakhs, not roughly, exactly 10 lakhs, it took them 24 months, 2 years, right? Okay, not all hands went up. How many of you are using Facebook? Pretty much every hand, right? So Facebook, which we all love and we can't live without on a day-to-day basis, who we try to stay away from on a day-to-day basis, guess how much it took them to get to 1 million users? 10 months. Such an unbelievable product, a sticky product which keeps your eyeballs glued to your phone. It took them 10 months. Okay, then it's Spotify. Music, folks who love music are into Spotify, 5 months. Okay, after Facebook, something came up, right, which we cannot live with today. How many of you have seen some reels this morning before you came to this conference? That happened on Instagram. And guess how much time did it take for Instagram to get to 1 million? 2.5 months. So a sticky product like Instagram take 2.5 months, out of the blue, from nowhere, here comes ChatGPT in a matter of 5 days. 5 days it took for ChatGPT to get to 1 million users. That's the speed at which this tech is spreading. In the past, tech was something which was confined only to the Western world or the developed world. Today, tech is so ubiquitous that every employee of ours has access to the tech before we could even think about rolling out an ERP system in the human resources function. In a world like this, how do you adapt to this rapid change? That's the dilemma as human resources professionals. Here we are, we have built our careers over the last 20 to 30 years. We have transitioned from an employee to a leader to a global leader to a global enterprise leader. Now we are at this crossroads of what do I do? How do I adapt? An interesting story, I was talking to Ayush last evening, and Ayush is an electrical engineer. Where's Ayush? There's Ayush. And I hope you're okay if I share that story. You know, in engineering, when you're designing a circuit or a complex control system or a program, when you get stuck, they always tell you, go back to the basics, right? Get to the root cause and solve it at the root cause at the foundation level, every system will work. In management, what do? Management, you apply the same principle. But then what is the root cause of management? Because we are always confused between whether management is a science or management is an art. So I went to the father of scientific management, Peter Drucker. And guess what Drucker tells us? In times like these, the greatest danger in turbulence times is not the turbulence, but to act with yesterday's logic. So it's all about adoption. We all got our first jobs because of our IQ. We succeeded in our first job, and then we got promoted, not because of our IQ, but because of our EQ. How self-aware we are, how are we managing ourselves in the society, how socially aware we were, and how are we managing with empathy, connecting with people, be it cognitive empathy, be it emotional empathy, be it empathic empathy, right? So that's Daniel Goleman's definitions of empathy and the 3 stages of empathy. We are all very familiar with that. IQ and EQ, today, there's a new capability called AQ, which we need to have so that we, the global enterprise leaders we are today, can continue to lean in and lead our organization. Why should we do it? We have got to do it because with tech rapidly changing, so many people are already ahead of us in human resources space, and this is where the adoption levels of human resources technologies are today, as defined by Gartner. Global organizations, Fortune 500 companies across the world are adopting AI in various stages. Some are in the form of Gen AI, some are in the form of machine learning, some are in the process of natural language processing, so there are various stages through which you could do it. So not doing anything about AI is not an option. So far with me? Now, when you do AI, AI provides you with an opportunity. These adaptive leaders provides you with an opportunity to be shock absorbers in a way in which you provide the ammunition your organization needs so that they can move forward into the future. It's like having a brake in a vehicle. A car has a brake. The purpose of a brake is not to help you slow down or not just to help you slow down. The purpose of the brake is also, it gives you the confidence that you could go so fast, because if something goes wrong, you got an organization and you got the brake system to provide you with that defense mechanism. So that's the shock absorber analogy which we're trying to bring in. And that's football, very popular in the Western world. Okay, Gen AI. This is where we are talking about today, right? Gen AI, beginning November 2022, has taken off in such a big way that it is at the peak of hype cycle. This is Gartner's hype cycle. Gartner has a cycle called hype cycle, which is all about where does innovation start, where does hype happen, and how does disillusionment happen before the product actually settles down so that all of us can start embracing it. How many of you know of this company called NVIDIA? NVIDIA, thank you. It's NVIDIA which is powering the AI gen, and NVIDIA has taken the whole world by storm, and today it is the second most valuable company in the world. The market capitalization of NVIDIA stock is higher than every major oil company in the world put together. The market capitalization of NVIDIA is roughly $3.2, $3.3 trillion, depending upon what closing price you're looking at the stock exchange in the United States. The market capitalization of this one company is almost equivalent to the GDP of our country. That's the kind of hype which is going on. In a matter of 2 years, from nowhere, for a market with a market capitalization of roughly $200 to $300 billion, it just took off like storm. And if that is not hype, I cannot think of any other definition of what hype is. But for hype to live up to its expectations, it needs to deliver something. Unless you create real value, real business value, this means nothing. And that's what we're going to be focusing on. What are HR leaders doing today? HR leaders are focusing on 3 top themes. They're trying to increase productivity, trying to get engagement going, and then trying to focus on greater innovation. There are 4 broad areas where you could roll out these AI solutions. And AI, when I talk about AI, it's not just talking about Gen AI. It is the plethora of everything which comes as part of AI. AI has been in existence for over 25 to 30 years. It's Gen AI, that ability to generate stuff and ability to think like humans, that's taken off in a big way. You could do Gen AI or AI capabilities in the 4 broad themes. Theme number 1 is all about consuming what you already have and adding on AI to top of it. You might have a regular ERP system, you might have a Workday system, you might have an SAP system, you might have an Oracle system. You could tag on AI to it. Or you could buy new technology and add on to your existing HR infrastructure, or you could partner with an IT solution. HR builds AI solutions themselves. There are many ways of doing it. What we have done so far is provide you with a current state of where AI is in the globe across global Fortune 500 companies. Think the top companies in the world as we speak. Now, I'm just going to talk to you about 3 use cases which you could take home and apply, because that's what I did. So I'm going to talk to you about my use cases so you get a feel for how it is done, and I'll be more than glad to take questions to help you understand this better. Use case number 1, HR virtual assistants. This is the easiest one for you to apply, cost-effective, and easier to do. So when you are ready to do it, you could go ahead and do it. Use case number 1, HR virtual assistants. Use case number 2 is all about recruitment, and 3 about learning and development. Let me double-click more on recruitment. We have used AI in recruitment over a period of time. Sometimes we never called it AI, but AI was always there. Today what's happening is at the various stages of recruitment, you could use Gen AI on top of AI, where you could source people, where you could apply, where the candidates can apply, how you review your candidates, and how you interview, and how you make an offer, and how you onboard. At every stage, there was some kind of a tech solution you already use currently. can be an AI solution. And on top of it, with Gen AI, it'll automate your work. My recruiters spend 30% less time, thanks to Gen AI today, in coming up with job descriptions, in ensuring that an offer letter is appropriately generated, so that the time to fill from the time a rec is open to the time we actually close the job is dramatically reduced. And that productivity of 30%, which I get from recruiters, I'm able to use for various other things. So each recruiter is able to take on a more rec load today than what he or she did just 6 months back. So that's a quick example for you, a use case which you could take home and apply in your recruitment organization. Similarly, learning and development. We all are very familiar with the learning and development process, where we call it the ADDIE process, right? Analyze, design, develop, implement, and evaluate across various stages of the L&D process. We have applied Gen AI. At Greif, we have a university. We call it the Greif University, where we make over 22,000 courses available to our global workforce of over 20,000 spread across these 4 continents. With Gen AI, each of my employees, irrespective of where they work, irrespective of what language they speak, can go into the university, Greif University, and come up with their individualized learning plan. They have a learning plan which they built so that they could find ways and means of growing their respective career, all the way from a shop floor employee to an office worker who could be in HR, finance, legal, marketing, supply chain, depending upon which function you're talking about. They could build their respective learning plans by applying Gen AI as part of Greif University, and that's what we rolled out. So I wanted to give you a takeaway of some use cases which you could take and apply. So I built a case so far for the state of AI in the world. I gave you a couple of use cases. Let me talk to you in the next 15 minutes about finding ways and means of preparing your respective organization in the AI journey. So far with me? Thank you. How do you drive your strategy forward? The first and the foremost thing you need to do is you need to prepare your function. The HR organization has to be ready for it. You cannot be intimidated by thinking about AI as something which has to be done by technology people. You cannot say, I came into HR because I like people, and now you're asking me to do technology. Why the hell am I here? So you need to find a way. We need to find a way to prepare our human resources organization so that we build the function ready to take this on. Gartner did a survey. When Gartner did a survey and asked people about where are you in your readiness curve, 67% of the human resources professional said they do not plan to add Gen AI related roles. Without hiring the right people for Gen AI or AI in your respective organizations, there is no way we as a profession can move this forward. So we don't want you to be in the 67%, we want you to be in the other 33%. Make sense? Okay. How do you prepare a function? Start with your strategy. Start with the strategy. Strategy is not about technical, it's about getting the big picture right. Ensure that you identify the right roles in the organization, and then focus on the mindset before you start focusing on the skill set. We have a tendency to jump straight into the skill set. We have a tendency to jump straight into saying, okay, what is it that needs to be done? Let me hire the person. Let me throw her or throw him into that team, and let's see what they could do. Unless we prepare the organization, right? I call this the 2A slide. There are certain activities we need to do, which is all about the roles and the hiring and stuff we need to do. There are the attitudes you need to have. I will start with the attitude first. If you get the attitude right inside the organization, if you get the attitude right inside the function, then the activities can follow. If you straight away focus on the activities without fixing the attitude in the organization, we all know how that change management works. With me? Thank you. Now that you've prepared your function, let me talk to you about how do you pilot a Gen AI solution. You have to prepare your organization first and then pilot a Gen AI solution. The piloting a Gen AI solution does not happen in isolation. Piloting a Gen AI solution happens by collaborating with people, because AI is still in a hype cycle, so you will still need to sell this idea to folks. And the way to sell the idea is look at what you can do. What is feasible? What is desirable? What does your end users need, which is your employee experience, which is all about the theme of this topic. Once you identify that, then you see the business value it can create. If the business value is high, the feasibility is high, it's a no-brainer. You can build a case. You can go to your CFO. You could go to your CEO, whoever you want to talk to make this happen. And that's something which you need to build on. Find a way to see what makes sense. Is it feasible? Is it desirable? Does it drive my employee experience? If the answer is yes to all these three things, then focus on, if given that, can it deliver business value? If the answer is yes, boom, you have a solution. And that's one way of looking at a framework for you to think about when you do your solution, your pilots, right? And then start working with your AI governance teams. Your governance teams is a good place for you to start so that you bring everyone under the same window. Otherwise, your legal teams are going to be all over it saying you cannot do this in this company. A legal team has all the power to say no, while they know very well that they do not have the power to say yes. Gatekeepers are the biggest challenges for us to work with. It's important that we find a way to take those naysayers and have them under our wings so that you could roll out your pilot. Now, last but not the least, unless you link your AI to your larger HR strategy, we do not want AI to stand in isolation. All said and done, AI is just a tool. The purpose of a business is to create value. The purpose of a business is to create value for its multiple stakeholders. And the role of human resources is to ensure that we deliver a world-class, diverse, and engaged workforce that will help the organization execute on the business strategy. That's it. That's what we do in our profession. All the tools, if it enables us in the value creation process, it makes sense for us to do it. Otherwise, don't do it. So rather than being intimidated with AI, think of AI as just one tool. One of the tools in your toolkit to help move the needle forward. If that toolkit is going to help you solve the business challenge and create stakeholder value, go do it. Otherwise, don't even work. Do not even bother. So far, I've built a case for helping you move forward. It's about ensuring that you prepare your function, start by piloting AI, and then make AI a part of your HR toolkit so that if it makes sense for you to do it, otherwise don't do it. Now that I've said all this, I hope it's not intimidating for you. There's so much to be done. And all this is something which has to happen on top of what we're already doing. It's so easy for us to get intimidated. And it's so easy for us to find ways and means of, coming up with excuses so that we don't have to move it. And we'll always find out with an excuse saying, you know what, yes, AI is important. Yes, everyone is talking about AI. Yes, we need to do this. Yes, I understand that need, but you know what, I've got this to do, so let me find an excuse not to do it, and then keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it. Before we realize that someone else has overtaken us in the marketplace because we did not use the right tool to ensure that we have the right workforce, a world-class workforce, a diverse workforce, an engaged workforce that can execute on the business strategy. So not doing anything is not an option, which means we need to move with courage. How do we move with courage? And anytime for me personally, when I've had my own doubts, I go back to this man. I go back to this man who spent over 27 years behind bars. 27 years. This gentleman was behind bars, and he never let that spirit die inside him. He waited for the right opportunity. He waited for the right opportunity and created what we now call as the Rainbow Nation. And this is what Nelson Mandela says about courage. I've learned that courage was not the absence of fear. All of us have that inside us, right? But the triumph over it. What do the brave folks do? The brave individual is not the one who does not feel afraid, but one who finds ways and means to conquer that fear. That's Nelson Mandela. Team, thank you so much for your time. I hope I've created a platform and an opportunity. I hope you all can jump into the oblivion, not knowing where we are going, but not jumping is not an option. Join me in this journey, please. Thank you so much again for your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you. I think I've got 10 minutes for Q&A, if that's okay. You're doing okay on time? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We would like to invite a few questions from the audience.
Now, please, all of you don't ask questions at the same time. It gets very difficult to answer. This is always the most challenging part. The most challenging part is getting the first question out.
Hello. Yeah, here.
Yes, please. If you could stand up, I could see you. Thank you.
Well, thank you for such nice presentation. I just wanted to ask, finally the coders, who is developing this AI?
Yeah.
It is the coders
Yeah.
or some human being or a technical guy is making the codes. What about his biases, his beliefs, his thoughts? Don't you think that all these things are been there while he is making the coding for some AI?
Yeah. You know, this is the question.
So question is that how to rely on such AIs? What is the reliability factor of such biases? How to minimize those?
So 25 years back when the internet took off in a big way, guess what was our biggest challenge? Our biggest challenge when internet became available and internet was made available in every desktop, on every computer, the biggest challenge we faced was pornography. Yes? Anytime there's a technology, there is always this challenge. And AI, the bigger challenge is about ethical AI. And every major corporation is struggling with it. In fact, Google had this AI solution before OpenAI launched this solution in November 2022. And Google had this 4 years back. They were sitting on it. They were worried about these biases playing. And when OpenAI came into the market and Microsoft made a $10 billion investment in OpenAI, Google had no choice but to follow, and they came up with their own solution, right? It was called Bard then, now called Gemini. And guess what happened to Gemini? Gemini gets launched. In a matter of 3 months, they were asking, you ask a simple question for Gen AI, right? Gen AI will tell you, so give me a picture of ABC, it'll give you. One of the questions that was posed was, show me the picture of the Pope, the current Pope. The picture which emerged on the Google search was an African-American, black female as the Pope. What is happening was all the biases of the programmers got into the program, and without any checks and balances, it got out. Google immediately had to shut it down. They had to immediately shut it down, and they had to find ways and means of fixing those issues before they can launch it. Yes, it is a deliberate, it is a real challenge. That's the reason why it's all the more important that we have a governance, AI governance inside our own organization. If you remember, one of the slides I shared with you during the AI pilot part was all about AI governance. You need to have an AI governance team inside your organization so that between IT and HR and legal, you go through the right vetting, ask the right questions to the AI vendor so that you minimize these probability of these biases playing out. Can you absolutely eliminate it? It's like saying, I need to make internet foolproof so that I can do my banking. You know that internet is not foolproof, you still do your banking. AI, you will have to go through the same learning curve, won't be easy, but that's what any technology adoption is all about. Does this make sense? Thank you. Yes, please.
I'm from Engineers India.
I'm sorry, say it again, please.
My name is Anubha Agarwal. I'm from Engineers India Limited.
Thank you, Anupa. Thanks for making the world work.
Thank you so much, sir.
I think I had my first vehicle was a Hero Honda.
Yeah.
When I first started my first job, and I very proudly had a sticker as an engineer, right? So we make the world work. So thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. My question to you is that we're working with multi-generational workforces. The adaptation to technology with various generations is different. And we want all to leverage the power of AI. I would need you to make us understand, how have you done it? How have you made it possible in your own organization so that everyone understands the power of AI?
That's a brilliant question. Thank you so much for that. You know, As a global company, we have 5 generations of workforce which we manage across these 4 continents we operate in. I've got the silent generation, I've got the baby boomers, I've got the Gen X, I've got the Gen Y, and I've got the Gen Z. My biggest workforce today is Gen X and Gen Y, and the fastest growing workforce for me across these 4 continents is the Gen Z. My silent generation and the baby boomers are the most adoptive to AI, which is a big surprise for me. And the reason why it's a big surprise for me, they were in the past intimidated by technology, right? And if I had to ask them to create a PowerPoint slide or an Excel, they were intimidated by technology. Today, I have Copilot. And for them, making a PowerPoint for a baby boomer or even a silent generation colleague is so easy. They just love it and they embrace it. So for them, it's now become a level playing field where they could go toe-to-toe with a Gen Y or a Gen Z, because the way you ask the question is the answer you're going to be getting, specifically for Gen AI, right? So it all comes down to prompt engineering, right? Again, a cool buzzword, it is basically asking an English question to the system. And the first time you ask a question, we won't get it right. The second time you ask a question, the machine will understand our grammar. The third time you ask a question, both of us will find a via media where you're getting closer to an answer. And that's the same process a Gen Xer or a Gen Y or a Gen Z will have to go through as far as ChatGPT is concerned or as far as Gemini is concerned. So AI, while we initially thought will be challenging for the silent generation and the baby boomer generation, in fact, it's becoming helpful for them to overcome. You know, it's like, think of this example. 15, 20 years back, all of us were struggling to get telecom, right? We all had our landlines, and then very few of us had landlines, and then we were struggling to get those landlines. And then over a period of time, with mobile came in, people who did not have landlines never bothered about having landlines. They just jumped straight into cell phones. And today we have over 850 million people in the 1.4 billion population have cell phones. India is one of those few countries we just leapfrogged into the future technology. So just like our country leapfrogged into the future technology, telecom as an example, you have these generations just jumping straight into it. They don't even know what a rotary phone is, how to dial a number or how to make a trunk call. They didn't worry about it. Today they have a cell phone, they know who to call, makes it happen. Gen AI. AI, as we know it, makes technology easier. That's the good news. The bad news is AI will make the programmers struggle, because the programmers, the USP was all about the unique ability to code. Today, a machine can think like that human and come up with a superior program. So today, if you go to US, and I'm not sure how many of you have kids who are in the United States doing their masters and trying to get a job, extremely difficult if you have a computer science degree. We thought with AI, all the computer science jobs will go up. Every major university with a master's in computer science or anything to do with that, they're struggling. If you're an electronics and communication engineer, if you're a mechanical engineer, you're a civil engineer, those demand is the same. The hype which we saw for computer engineers is dramatically going down so much that they are struggling to get a job. But AI, I fundamentally believe, will be a great leveler across generations. But great question, and spoken like a true engineering organization's question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good morning.
Please, Aish,
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Bala. Very
my
nice
electrical
presentation.
engineer friend. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Bala. Very nice presentation. My
Thank you.
question is that, the basic tenet of AI is that it works based on the past input that we give to the system. So, and in the slide that you have, demonstrated the kind of pace with the world is changing. So how future is assured if we rely on AI which is past dependent?
Great question, right? AI is artificial intelligence, which mimics human intelligence. How does human intelligence work? My human intelligence or your human intelligence works based on what has gone into us over a period of time. If good things went in, good things come out. If it was garbage in, it'll be garbage out. So what it gets trained on is what output it is going to provide you. That's the bad news. The good news with AI is the training happens over a consolidated mass. If there are just two of us having a conversation, my ideas and your ideas are same, and if both our ideas are wrong, we will go with the wrong solution. But AI gets trained on the brains or the artificial intelligence of so many of the users across the globe. The understanding and the idea is the average of the average intelligence taken and fed into the machine is reasonably above average. That's the premise. That's the reason when you go into ChatGPT today or AI today, they'll always tell you that these results had to be validated independently. Otherwise, these are just called hallucinations. Another buzzword they use in the AI jargon. Hallucination is, AI will never tell you, I'm so sorry, I don't know the answer. AI wants to be like a human, right? Who likes to say, I don't know? AI will try to give you an answer, and that's hallucination. So what it gets trained on is going to be important. If what it gets trained on is filled with biases, the output will be the biased one. So that's the reason why they're trying to look at the input data which goes in, fine-tune the data, so that we eliminate these biases. And you and I know there is no foolproof way of eliminating human biases because all of us as individual humans are imperfect. And if an imperfect individual is going to create an artificial intelligence system, you know what the output will be. It is a risk, but you need to move on, taking a calculated risk. The beauty of all this, friends, is do not blindly apply AI. Take your intelligence and augment what we do with AI. Think of this as a tool. That's the reason why I keep going back to this as a tool. Good, smart humans with an AI tool will get their intelligence overall augmented. So AI will augment your intelligence in a way in which will make you a superior individual, a superior leader, a superior enterprise leader, a superior business leader. Now, for someone who's got zero intelligence, and they end up using AI, you know what will happen. So, and that's the beauty. Humans who has the ability to augment their intelligence with AI will dominate the world in the future, will become the leaders of the future. And the folks who do not have the fundamental, foundational math or science or what you need to do their job, however amount of tools you give them with AI, they'll continue to be average or below average. In fact, those jobs will get completely eliminated. Tough pill to follow, but that's the reality, and that's the world we live in. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Ayush.
I'll just extend the discussion on the bias, and especially in the context of PSU working and in HR,
Yeah.
where a lot of compliances are there, accountability has to be there. And if we just take the use case of recruitment for shortlisting of applicants, for sourcing resumes and shortlisting, I believe the outside world is using it in a big way in terms of reducing the time. But here when it comes to PSU, if a human being doing a bias or an error, there's an accountability and answerability through various 10 number of agencies who are there to catch hold of a person making an error or a biased decision. Whereas if we are employing AI to do the same job and a wrong shortlisting is there, a person is getting shortlisted which is not supposed to be shortlisted. So where do we fix the accountability in the person to take care of it? Because being a PSU or a government organization, that many a times these are the questions or apprehensions because of which possibly the adoption of AI is becoming slower or challenging.
That's a brilliant question, because it's a question from a PSU, right? A PSU is not the only organization which is struggling. I'll give you a story. This is an inside story. This is a family, so I'll start with you. The CHR of IBM, her name is Nicole. Nicole is a good friend of mine. We both serve on the board, the Center for Executive Comp, which is a think tank based out of Washington, D.C. And they have rolled out IBM, 450,000 employees across the world. They have rolled out an AI solution. And Kathy Hogan, she's the CHRO for Microsoft. And you know Microsoft has a huge stake in OpenAI. And this is a story from Kathy Hogan, where Microsoft decided to shut down access to OpenAI, access to AI for all their employees for 48 hours. For 48 hours. This is the company which is behind this technology. And I spoke to you about NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is the second largest company in the world from a market capitalization. The number one company is Microsoft. So they shut it down because this is a real problem. But the decision to shut down was taken not by the IT head, not by Satya Nadella, the CEO. It was taken by the CHRO. So the accountability rests with us. Not an easy call to make. So they had to go back to their foundational, fundamental principles of the governance and where they went wrong with this. And IBM struggled through it. IBM did not have to shut down. But Nikhil told me that they're also going through the same challenge. The answer to that question is it will never be perfect. The answer to the question is take a AI solution, take AI screening tools, take AI screened resumes, and apply your intelligence on top of it. Let's take a real case. You apply an open requisition. There is an open requisition. There are 700 candidates applying. You need 3 finalists before you could go do an interview, right? So AI is going to do a short screen. In the past, your recruiter had to go through and screen all 700. Today, using AI, you could screen for those resumes using certain keywords. Ensure that those keywords which you're giving, the AI, are free of biases. Step 1. Step 2. While you know that those keywords are free of biases, you get a set of profiles, but go through it to see that it is heterogeneous in nature, it's diverse in nature, so that none of your biases, even though you did not plant it, seeps through because of various errors inside the machine, inside the AI's mechanism or the built-in mechanisms. So you will need to apply human intelligence to ensure that those biases don't seep through. In spite of all that, will it happen? Absolutely will happen. So the speed of adoption in PSUs might be slower, but the beauty of that is the India story about telecom. Everyone else has paid the price of making infrastructure and spending their time and energy on laying all those telecom cables, those physical cables. We never had to do it. We just had Jio come in and do underground fiber optic cables, and overnight you got 800 million people on it. So that's the learning of going a bit slow, but you will need to make a calculated call for what makes sense for your organization. Long answer for a short question, but I hope that made sense.